Hi, welcome to Future Tecknos today. We're diving into two of the most talked about cameras in the rumor mill right now, the Nikon Z90 and the Nikon Z6V Cine edition. These aren't just small updates. They're shaping up to be bold statements from Nikon about where the company wants to go in 2025. And if half of what we're hearing is true, both of these cameras could be game changers for two very different groups of creators. One is aimed at sports and wildlife shooters who need speed, reach, and sharpness. The other is built for filmmakers who want cinema tools in a compact mirrorless body. So let's unpack all of it, one step at a time, and see what Nikon might have in store for us. The Nikon Z90, if it lands with the specs that are circulating right now, could easily be the most powerful APS-C camera Nikon has ever made. People have been waiting for a true mirrorless successor to the D500 for years, and the Z90 is looking like the one to finally fill that gap. The headline feature is the rumored 33-megapixel sensor. On paper, that might sound like Nikon is just trying to one-up Canon's R7, which sits at 32.5 megapixels. But megapixels are more than bragging rights. For wildlife and sports photographers, that resolution on a crop sensor is huge. It gives you both detail and reach. You can crop further into your shots without losing too much quality, which is essential when you're dealing with fast, unpredictable subjects. Imagine being at a football game and wanting to catch the action across the field. With a 33-megapixel crop sensor, you get more detail packed into every frame, making those long shots sharper and more usable. Or picture yourself in the wild, trying to capture a hawk mid-flight. That extra resolution lets you zoom in during editing without your shot falling apart. And because it's APS-C, you're already getting that crop factor advantage. A 300mm lens behaves more like a 450mm lens, which is something full-frame cameras just can't match without much bigger, heavier glass. That's where the Z90 could shine. Portability, reach, and quality all in one package. But it's not just about stills. Nikon seems to be paying a lot of attention to video with this camera. The rumors point to 4K at 60p, oversampled from 6K. That means sharper detail and less noise compared to simple line skipping or pixel binning methods. Oversampling makes footage look crisp, clean, and professional. If Nikon includes 120p or even 180p at full HD, it's going to be very appealing for people who love slow motion. Whether you're capturing wildlife in motion, fast-paced sports, or even cinematic B-roll for YouTube, those frame rates open up creative possibilities. Nikon is clearly signaling that the Z90 won't just be a photographer's tool. It's a hybrid for creators who want strong video as well. Speed is another big selling point. Burst shooting at 15 frames per second mechanically and possibly 30 frames electronically makes it a serious contender in its class. For reference, Canon's R7 tops out at 15 FPS mechanical and 30 FPS electronic too. So Nikon matching or even slightly improving on that puts them right in the fight. Imagine tracking a cheetah in the wild or a sprinter at the finish line. The Z90's speed ensures you don't just get one shot, you get an entire sequence to choose from. And with modern autofocus, you're more likely to nail focus across those bursts. Speaking of autofocus, while details are light, it's safe to assume Nikon will bring its subject detection system over from the Z8 and Z9. If that happens, the Z90 could track people, animals, birds, and vehicles with remarkable accuracy. Autofocus has become one of the biggest battlegrounds in the camera world, and Nikon knows they can't afford to lag behind Canon and Sony here. If the Z90 inherits that Z9 DNA, it could be the most capable APS-C autofocus system we've ever seen from Nikon. Now let's talk stabilization. Rumors suggest the Z90 may come with 6 stops of in-body image stabilization. That's huge for handheld shooters. It means you can work in lower light without cranking your ISO as much, and you can shoot video that looks smoother without always relying on gimbals. Canon's R7 skipped IBIS, which left some people disappointed. If Nikon includes it here, it becomes a major selling point. For wildlife shooters, stabilization is especially valuable when you're using long telephoto lenses in the field. Even a tiny bit of shake is exaggerated at those focal lengths, so IBIS can make the difference between a blurry shot and a keeper. But not every decision is going to please everyone. The rumored tilting 3.2-inch touchscreen is already dividing opinions. For traditional photographers, tilting is great. It's simpler, sturdier, and quick to use for low or high-angle shots. But for vloggers and solo content creators, a fully articulating flip-out screen is often preferred. It lets you frame yourself, which is critical for YouTube or live streaming. Nikon seems to be making a choice here. This camera is aimed at photographers first. They're betting that most of their audience doesn't need the flip-out flexibility. It's a bold call, but maybe it fits the personality of the Z90. a rugged, no-nonsense tool for action shooters, not necessarily for vloggers. Storage is another area where Nikon seems to be balancing pro and consumer needs. Dual card slots, with one CF Express Type B and one SD, give you both performance and affordability. The CF Express slot handles high-speed burst shooting and 6K oversampling video, while the SD slot provides a cheaper backup option. This setup makes sense for professionals who want redundancy and reliability. But it also acknowledges that not everyone wants to spend a fortune on memory cards. Still, let's be real. CF Express cards aren't cheap, so buyers will have to budget for that. One of the biggest unknowns is whether the Z90 will include a stacked sensor. Stacked sensors allow for much faster readout speeds, reducing rolling shutter and boosting overall responsiveness. Nikon's flagship Z9 has one, and it's been praised for eliminating rolling shutter almost entirely. But stacked sensors are expensive to produce. If Nikon wants to keep the Z90 under control in terms of price, they may have to skip it. That could leave it at a disadvantage compared to higher-end models, but it also keeps it accessible to a wider audience. The balance between cost and performance will be critical here. So what kind of price are we looking at? Nothing is official, but speculation points to somewhere between $1,800 and $2,200. That puts it in line with Canon's R7 while leaning toward the higher end if Nikon really goes all out on features. For dedicated wildlife and sports shooters, that price could be justifiable. But it still has to compete with not only Canon but also with full-frame cameras like the Nikon Z6 series, which sit in a similar price range. Nikon has to position the Z90 carefully so it doesn't get overshadowed by its own lineup. The bottom line is that the Z90 has the potential to become the APS-C king of 2025. If the rumors hold true, it offers resolution, speed, stabilization, and video features that make it attractive to a wide range of shooters. It could finally give Nikon users the mirrorless D500 successor they've been asking for. And even if it doesn't dethrone Canon's R7 in every category, it will at least give people a real choice in the APS-C space. Competition is always good, and Nikon stepping up here makes the whole market better. Now let's switch gears and talk about the Nikon Z6V Cine edition. This one is very different. Where the Z90 is about speed and versatility for photographers, the Z6V is rumored to be a purpose-built filmmaking tool. Think of it as Nikon's answer to cameras like Sony's FX3 or Canon's R5C. It's designed to strip away unnecessary elements for video shooters and focus entirely on delivering a cinematic experience in a compact body. The first major change is the body itself. Gone is the traditional DSLR-style shape with an electronic viewfinder sticking out. Instead, the Z6V is said to adopt a sleek, modular design that's more in line with cinema cameras. No EVF, just a streamlined build meant to be paired with external monitors and rigs. For filmmakers, that makes sense. When you're on set, you're not squinting through a tiny viewfinder. You're using large displays, follow-focus systems, and external gear. By removing the EVF, Nikon makes the body smaller, lighter, and more adaptable. But they didn't stop there. The body is also rumored to include vents and active cooling. That's a huge deal for long-form video recording. Overheating has plagued hybrid cameras for years, especially when shooting high-resolution or high-frame-rate footage. If the Z6V has proper cooling, it could handle 6K RAW recording for extended periods without thermal shutdowns. That instantly makes it more professional. Add in magnesium alloy construction and multiple mounting points for accessories, and you've got a camera designed for serious filmmaking work. Inside, the Z6V reportedly uses the same 24.5 megapixel partially stacked sensor as the Z6 but with video performance as the top priority. The stacked design means faster readout speeds, reducing rolling shutter and enabling higher frame rates. With the new processor, it's said to deliver 6K RAW up to 60 frames per second, full width, with no crop. That's huge for flexibility in post-production. You can reframe, stabilize, or punch into your shots without losing resolution. For indie filmmakers, that's the kind of power usually reserved for much more expensive cinema cameras.